welcome back to Life Between the Magic.
So tonight we want to do a show, and the show we want to call it, we want to go to Disney World, so what's next? We get this question quite often because it is a big decision to decide that you do want to go to Disney World. And if you've never been before, you kind of have to decide what's next. How do we plan this trip? So tonight we've got 4 things that we think are really important, and we have some things underneath each one of those. We have 4 things that we think are really important, and they're kind of in order of where you must start if you want to go to Disney World and you need to figure out what's next. Amanda, what's our first one?
First thing, you decide when you can go. So, school schedules, work schedules. Can you go anytime? Is your calendar open to any time of year, or is it pinned in kind of like ours where there's school breaks?
The earlier you can decide when you want to go, the better. And there's several different things about deciding early, because I looked on Disney's website today, and you can schedule about 9 months in advance right now to book a trip to Disney, which is a pretty good distance away.
Yeah.
And if you do schedule it that far in advance, you do have an opportunity to save money for that trip. We budget like that. We save money for our trips. All you have to do for a Disney vacation that you do is put a $200 deposit down, and you have to pay that within 30 days of your travel. So you
pay the rest.
Yeah. So you can make payments along the way, and you can start off with a $200 deposit, and really you can cancel that 31 days out and not be out any money. So the earlier you start, you have plenty of time to plan. So the first thing we would say is decide when can you go.
When can you go, for sure.
When can you go? The second thing we would say is decide where you want to stay. Do you want to stay on property or off property? That's a big question. And if you're on property, you get several perks that don't come with off property. Sometimes off property can be cheaper, but you don't get a lot of the Disney perks, such as the Magical Express, which is transportation to and from the airport if you fly in. You have Disney transportation if you stay on property, and that'll take you to all the parks, all the different resorts, and different things like that. That's free transportation. Well, it's not free, it's included. There's also Uber and Lyft, but you can take that Disney transportation. You also have extra magic hours. If you stay on property, you have extra magic hours, and you can go to the park early or stay later. Only those resort guests can do that. And if you're driving your own car, you have free parking at the parks. That they have started charging you supposedly for overnight parking at the resorts, but it's usually not too much.
I want to ask Lily. Lily, where's your favorite place to stay?
Pop Century.
Pop Century. Pop Century is a value resort. We kind of have called that our home resort. We've stayed in 2 other places in our 10 trips to Disney, and it is Pop Century. They just redid it. It's very everything's new. Still a value resort, and it's really close to Hollywood Studios. Anyway, we just really like it. It's themed for the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. So it's the decades, and it's just a really cool place. We like it, don't we?
Yeah, and let's talk about that for a second. You said value resort.
Yeah.
There's different level of resorts at Walt Disney World, and you have the deluxe, which you have the moderates, which is the smallest category of resorts, and then you have the value resorts, which is where we stay most of the time, season. But really, about the resorts, there's a couple things you really need to think about. Is number one, how big is your party, your travel party? Like at Pop Century, a room will only sleep 4, and if you're a party of 5, you're either going to have to get another room or you're going to have to go to another resort. And then really the amenities of those resorts. The deluxe resorts, of course, have all kinds of amenities. If you're looking at the ones that are closest to Magic Kingdom, they have the monorail that takes you around. They also have spas. They also have, really nice sit-down restaurants and things of that nature.
Bucket list.
Yeah, but those are deluxe resort. Staying at one of those is a bucket list thing for us, especially the Grand Floridian. And so what it really ultimately comes down to is what's your budget. How much money are you willing to spend? Do you want to spend that $120 to $200 a night, or can you afford that $800 to several $1,000s a night? But the next thing we would say, after you say when are you going to go, the next thing we would say you need to do is figure out where you want to stay.
Yeah.
The number 3.
What do we want to eat? And that's what we like to focus on. There are so many choices just so many choices to choose from. You can do the dining plan versus non-dining plan. Second, do you want character meals or do you want non-character meals? Table service, quick service. Now, a table service is where you go in like any other restaurant. You sit down, they take your order, they bring you your food. A quick service is like a fast food. You go up to the counter, you order, and then you take your food, you carry it on a tray to your table. So those are the different types of main meals, and then there's the snacks. So there's different types of dining plans that involve all of that.
And something about the table service versus quick service. Quick service, you can go eat at any time.
Right.
You may have to stand in line to go, but it's like going to McDonald's and you can go eat at any time.
Right.
A table service restaurant is something that you need a reservation for. And there are certain restaurants that the window opens up for you to start making reservations 180 days prior to your first day on property if you have a package. Cinderella's Royal Table, which is eating in the castle. Now, it's really expensive, but it's a cool thing to do.
Have we done that, Lily?
Yes, it was awesome.
It was awesome.
We had a really prime time. It was right at Happily Ever After, so we got to experience the fireworks from inside, watching them and hearing music through the windows to the outside.
Another thing about Cinderella's Royal Table is you have to prepay for that meal. So when you make the reservation, you have to pay for everything that you're going to get. It's because they want you to keep that reservation. Right. Also is important. We've gone the route before where we just really kind of focused on quick service. But we really like to have at least one sit down, most times just one sit down meal a day.
Yeah.
And
then we'll either snack or share a quick service or something small, the rest of the time. Because when you do go for those table service restaurants, especially, we like character dining buffets, and so it's all you can eat. And so we'll get our fill, and then we can just do smaller things throughout the day. So that's kind of how we like to do it.
And then the fourth and final one is, but how do you want to tour the parks? And Amanda, what are some questions that you need to ask yourself about how you want to tour the parks?
Well, first thing you want to decide, do you want to stay at one park all day, or do you want a park hop, which is you can go to multiple parks in one day, and that would change your park ticket. So you could have a one-day park ticket or a park hopper ticket. There's a cost difference. Now, Disney does it where the longer you stay, the cheaper the ticket. Like if you stay one day, it's more expensive than if you pay, for 6 days. You know what I'm saying? Like it's for the one day. But yes, it is more expensive to park hop than it is just for the one day or the one park pass. Secondly, what are you interested in as far as when you get to those parks? So if you stay in one park all day, you can concentrate on that park before you go, and you're planning as far as your fast passes, shows, entertainment, food, and everything that kind of surrounds that one park.
Another thing about staying at one park is you can leave that park and come back to that park, but you can't go to another one.
Yeah.
If you park hop, you can potentially go to any park that you want to throughout any day that you're there. And you can't buy a park hopper ticket for one day. You have to buy it for your whole trip if you end up doing that. But park hoppers are a little bit more expensive. It does give you a little bit more flexibility. But another thing I would say is how you're going to tour the parks is what's important to you. What are some of the rides that you know that you want to ride, that you've heard about, or that your child, is really in favor of? Lily, at the Magic Kingdom, what is one of your favorite rides that you always want to fast pass for?
Big Thunder.
Big Thunder Mountain.
And Mine Train.
And Mine Train. And so if you know that your kid loves roller coasters and they can fit on them, and that's the cool thing about Disney is pretty much all the rides, a lot of the rides at Walt Disney World are kid friendly. Some amusement parks you can go and your child can't ride anything.
You're stuck in the kiddie section.
You are, but if there are certain ones that have height requirements on them. And you need to know if you want to ride Tower of Terror, and it's a really important thing for your family to do. If not everyone in your party is 44 inches tall, you can't all ride it. So, you may make a fast pass for everybody. So touring the parks is important to know what you want to do, what shows do you want to see, characters you want to meet. Are there special events like Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, Very Merry Christmas Party, things of that nature. And Epcot is the festival part where it has all kinds of food and things to eat. These are just kind of things to think about. Also, you have to kind of think about too is your fast pass options. Again, if you're on site, you can make fast pass options. You can reserve those 60 days in advance. And if you're off site, you can do it 30 days in advance. So there's another perk for staying on site as well. But you need to decide on those. What are the rides that you want to do? How are you going to approach getting those fast passes? And how are you going to tour the park? Well, that brings us to the end of the things that. So I know this is a lot of information, but our theory is, with several trips under our belt, is that if you plan it now, you're more likely to enjoy it when you're there.
Yes.
It's a lot of work on the front end, but when you're there, you just kind of let your plan go to work. And I promise, flying by the seat of your pants at Disney World is not something that you love to plan Disney trips. We actually have one coming up that we're going to make fast passes for on Sunday. We'll be in our 60-day window then, and we're looking forward to that. It'll be this summer. So anyway, if you have any questions that you may have when planning a trip, you can contact us on our social media, which will all be listed below, and also our email address as well. So remember to follow along as we help you live your
life between the magic.